Lime Nation, what is going on today? Today I'm excited about our guest. Today's guest went from children's minister to high school teacher to ultra successful real estate mogul. Today's guest has grown a massive real estate empire for herself and is often referred to as the Rainmaker because of her ability to negotiate and close nearly impossible real estate deals that most can't. So with that said, I'm super pumped because today I get to introduce you to the one and only Miss Chantel Ray. Chantel, what's going on today? How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. So let's dive straight into talking about your journey story. So could you walk us through the journey that's led to where you are today from a personal and professional standpoint?
Sure. When I decided to get into real estate, the nice thing was I did used to be a children's pastor and a youth pastor, so I did know a lot of people. But what I did when I first started is I literally listened to everything I could possibly get my hands on. I listened to, podcasts and this and that, read books, anything I possibly could. I went to conferences on everything I possibly could on real estate. And then I also really looked at what I liked about other businesses. So even if it was a car, like I listened to a commercial one time and it said, if you don't love the carpet or the flooring that we install for you, we will replace it for free to one that you like. And I just saw the commercial and I thought, wow, if I was going to get new carpet or if I was going to get new flooring, that's who I would call. And so that's when I said, okay, well, how could I implement that in my business? And so this has really just been like, I basically look at what other people do and go, okay, well, how can I apply it to real estate? So what I said is okay, well, if someone doesn't love the house that they buy within the first 3 months that they live there, I'll sell it for free. There'll be no commission. And so that way they knew that we weren't just trying to put them into any old thing. They knew 100% this person's going to do their due diligence. They're going to go and make sure. One of the things, our agents, a lot of them will do is they'll take you and knock on the next door neighbors and introduce you to the neighbors and ask the neighbors, is there a lot of crime here? Is there, as far as noise at night? Because the last thing you want to do is move into a neighborhood you didn't realize, you're right behind the baseball field and when, you know what I mean? And it's just, whatever it is that you don't realize. And so it's just a matter of people having that kind of self-confidence. They go, hey, when I move into this house, I know that if I don't love it, they're going to sell it for free within the first 3 months. So again, I got that from a flooring commercial. Is how I got that. And so I said, okay, well, that's one of the things that's going to differentiate me. The reason why I got into real estate was because I literally, on my first house, I called 3 different agents and 2 of them never called me back. One called me back 2 weeks later and she's like, oh, honey, I'm so sorry. She's like, I was at a funeral and then I went out of town and then I went on vacation and then blah, 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 blah. And I'm so sorry it's taken me so long. I'm like 2 weeks after I'd called her.
That's crazy.
So I thought,
that's money for them.
Yeah.
They're throwing, that's crazy.
2 of them never called me back.
That's insane.
And so I thought to myself, okay, well, I got to think of another way to do this. And so I said, okay, well, I'm going to have to pay people to be on the phones from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week because I never want that to happen to me. I was so frustrated. I'm like, I'm ready to buy a house and nobody will answer the phone. I keep calling all these people. So I said, okay, well, if I'm going to get into real estate, I'm going to make sure someone's available from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week.
Right.
So I figured out what it was that was missing from my field, and I figured out what were people worried about. Okay. So now let me tell you another thing that they were worried about. Another thing they were worried about is never being stuck in a long-term contract. So like I'd ask people, I'd say, well, what is one thing that frustrates you about being in real estate? And that's what you would do if you're going to start a business. Right. You go, all right, let's ask some people, what are some bad experiences you've had in the past with other people that you don't want to happen again? And so I'd ask people and they were like, well, one of the things that really frustrates me is 10 years ago, I worked with this guy, Billy Bob, and he locked me into a contract for a year. He wasn't doing anything to sell my house and he locked me in for a year and I couldn't get out.
Wow.
And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to create a real estate company where if at any time you're not happy, you can fire us. And so there we go with pillar number 3 of what, makes us different. And so we just kind of kept coming up with all these different things and said, what is it that the client wants? How can we, if you look on our walls, in our walls, we say we base every decision on what's best for first our clients. Because what other companies a lot of times do is they want to make the agents happy. And so they're like, oh, well, we gotta work with the individual team members and make them happy. And I go, no, you got it all wrong. You got to make sure, number one, first and foremost, that client is happy and they're wowed and they are like, they love it. Then you worry about the company as a whole, because if as a company, if you're just worried about all the team members, then guess what? The company could sink because if I wanted to really make all my agents happy, they'd be like, I want to be on 100% split. Well, great. Y'all be on 100% split. Well, we won't even have a company, right?
Yeah.
Because if I'm trying to make all the team members happy. So it has to be in that order. It has to be, clients have to be number one, no matter what. Then the company, what's best for the company as a whole. And then, of course, we love our agents, and we believe that if we make our agents happy, they're in turn going to make our clients happy. And we believe that 100%. But it still has to go into that pecking order.
Well, it seems like you guys have created something really special here, because like you're talking about, most companies talk about putting the client first, but saying that they do that and actually doing that.
And that's exactly right. And that's exactly right. That's why we've said, hey, here are very specific things that make us different. I don't know of any other real estate company that lets you cancel a contract. We have a guy right now that walked into our office, and he was like about in tears. And he's like, I'm with XYZ company. He's like, I am so unhappy. The guy doesn't return my call up. I mean, just, laundry list of all the reasons.
How does that happen, though, in a service industry like real estate?
Yeah, and he's like, and we called the other broker, and the broker's like, we're not letting him out. And they have the choice to do that or not. And that's why we said, look, we're going to put our money where our mouth is. If you really aren't happy, you get out. I mean, it's just that easy.
I love it, because the whole mentality is it's all based on this value proposition where you're telling them, hey, we're going to continue over delivering, and we're going to continue earning your trust. We're going to continue earning your business. And I remember it was probably a couple of weeks ago, I saw on Facebook, it might have been the company page, or it might have been your personal page, but where one of the agents were talking about how, or I think it was actually you talking about how one of the agents sold a house in, I think it was 3 days, whereas no one else had the ability to sell it within 3 months up until that point. And so I think it just speaks to the quality of people that you have and what they're capable of doing. Well,
another one of our guarantees is that we guarantee the most effective marketing. And, a lot of real estate companies, if you notice, like the company is not spending the money to market the homes. And so the difference with us is what they do is they go like this. They say, okay, instead of the company spending the money, we're going to leave it to the agents, and it's the agent's choice if they want to market the property or not. And we found out that's a huge mistake, because unless you have a very big mindset and a very big vision, when you give that money to the agents, I can guarantee you this, they are going to be tight on a dollar.
Right.
And they don't want to spend the money on the marketing because they want that money to go into their pocket. And so that's another guarantee we have, right? That we guarantee the most effective marketing. And the reason is because we want to make sure we know that it works. At any given time, thousands and thousands of homes on the market. The ones that are marketed the best are the ones that get sold first and for, a higher amount. So it's important.
Well, I can definitely attest to the fact that your marketing prowess is second to none, especially in this market of Virginia Beach and Hampton Roads area.
Well, and that's why we also have another guarantee of that we're going to sell your home. And what we do is we used to have a long song, that we made. Yeah, we had a long song, and we kind of shortened it down because it was really long. But one of the lines in there was that we'll sell your home in 90 days or the commission is free. And now it's gotten to the point, the market's so hot right now that we changed it to 33 days because, we're selling houses like hotcakes. So anything that's under 500,000 now, obviously we have houses that are, over $1 million. We've got a, $3 million couple $3 million properties, and we're not able to sell them in 33 days.
Right.
I'm not even able to sell them in 90 days because that is a harder.
That's a much more specific
client. It takes us longer. Yes. but we do, promise a great amount of marketing, and we tell all of our clients, hey, here's everything that we're going to do for you. And everything is very clear and written down so that, one of the things that I've learned in life is that to be very transparent in the very beginning is very, very important, and to make sure that everything is laid out in writing so that everyone knows. They say that the number one reason people leave a company is because they didn't have clear expectations when they were first hired on. So they were hired on thinking one thing, but when it came into this, and so they say people leave really because of two things. One, if they don't like their manager, that's a huge, huge reason. But the second one is they leave because of how they were hired. They had a certain set of expectations, and then those expectations weren't met.
I've I've seen that happen actually firsthand, and I can definitely attest to that. So let's switch gears a little bit. I really want to talk about, obviously our listeners can't see this, and I'll have to get some pictures of it, but we're in this beautiful, beautiful location of yours here in Virginia Beach. One of many, by the way. I feel like when I'm in Newport News or other parts of the Hampton Roads area, I just randomly see Chantel Ray offices kind of spread out, which is awesome.
Yeah, we have 6 kind of locations now. We have Virginia Beach, this Laskin location. Then we have another one in Virginia Beach in Kempsville. And then we have Newport News.
The Tech Center.
Yeah. Then we have one in Chesapeake on Volvo Parkway. And then we have a new office in Williamsburg. And then we're incubating an office out of North Carolina.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys are growing like wildfire right now, which is a testament, I think, to the leadership that they have and the vision that you have for this company to do something not only great for yourself and your family, the employees here, but really to take the industry in a completely different direction where you're adding that level of transparency and you're adding an element of genuine authenticity that really might have been lacking up until this point. So with that said, I really want to take it maybe a little bit different direction and rewind it a little bit to when you were first starting out. Because as entrepreneurs, most of the time we go through this period before we achieve success where there's fears, there's self-doubts, there's mental hurdles, there's all these challenges that we have to go through. Most of the time, not physical, a lot of times they're these mental ones. So for you, could you walk us through some of those fears, self-doubts, and mental hurdles that you had to overcome to get to where you are right now in this beautiful office and growing this crazy, awesome, successful company?
It's funny because my friend tells me all the time, she's like, you have the best self-esteem of anyone I know. And, my mom, when I was little, and all my family used to always tell me, they're like, Chantel, you can do anything that you put your mind to, and that you every day, my son is 5 years old, and, every day I tell him, I say, you can do anything that you want. And I tell him all the time, I say, you are everything I ever wanted in a son. Everything I've ever wanted in a son. I tell him he's smart, you're funny, you're talented. Every day, I just tell him how amazing he is. And, I will say this, I first of all have to give all of the credit for where I've come from God, because I truly believe all of our gifts and our talents and everything come from Him. And so anytime someone gives you an accolade, you really need to just lift it right back up to Him, because
totally
honestly, He is the one who's gifted us and really just blessed our business. And we even have this sign rider that says, we give all the glory to God for selling this home. Once we sell a home, we have this sign rider that says, we give all the glory to God to selling this home. Thank you, God. And because we believe that, it's not because of my talent or this or that. I believe 100% it comes from Him. So I definitely want to say that 100%. But I think that your self-talk is the most important thing that you have to get under control. So what I mean by that is the minute that you say to yourself, oh, I'm not going to be able to do this, or, oh, I'm not good at this, or marketing's not my thing, or that's not my thing, and all these different things, that's when you have to literally snap and go, one of the things you can do is to quote scripture, and to just tell yourself, like, you are beautifully and wonderfully made. God created you, and you can do all things in Christ who strengthens you. And so, there is nothing that you can't achieve with his will and his power. And so I just believe that you've got to get a handle on your self-talk. And one of the things that you have to do is pour into yourself with podcast reading. There is not a day that goes by that I am not fueling my brain with a podcast. Before you came in here, I was listening to a podcast. And so every day I listen to leadership podcasts, read books. That's all I do. I just pour back into myself, because if my cup isn't super, super full and overflowing, I can't lead those people. So I just have to keep filling my cup and filling my cup and filling my cup, figuring out every day, what can I listen to? What can I read? And I kind of put myself into like a magical positive bubble. I just call it, my friend tells me all the time, she's like, oh, there's Chantel in her little magical positive bubble. But there's so much negativity around you.
Yes.
You have to literally put yourself in a bubble. I honestly don't listen to the news. And so a lot of people give me a hard time about it. They're just
here.
like, and I can't do it, because anytime I watch the news, I just start getting down in the dumps, and this one killed this one and this one. And it just puts me it brings all my emotions down. And so I got to go, what kind of things and barriers can I put around myself and to keep people in my life that are truly positive, truly uplifting? I have a friend of mine named Jen, and I will tell you, she's just so positive all the time. Every time I talk to her, she calls me we call each other our magical Disney friends, because whenever we're with each other, it's just like magical Disney. And that's what you need to do, is pour into yourself and surround yourself with people who are positive and uplifting, and not these negative naysayers. Oh, you can't do this, and oh, you can't do that.
I think it's so crucial what you're talking about. I'm the same way as far as with news. Mm-hmm. And what I always tell people is, I'm like, look, in reality, I can't really impact most of what we're seeing, especially if it's on a global. What I can impact is what's around me. So to what you're speaking of, even with that, I'm like you. I keep my circle of friends very tight-knit and close, and I make sure that the people that are the closest to me are also healthy and are also in a place or in positions in their life where I want to go myself, or that they're encouraging and uplifting. And at the same time, there is room where I want to encourage other people who aren't there yet, but at the same time, like you're talking about, you have to some degree, safeguard yourself, because you can't give people, I like what you were talking about as far as overflowing. That's really what you have to give to other people. I think a lot of times people start dipping into their actual cup rather than giving them from the overflowing that's coming. And when you start doing that,
and then your cup gets empty, then you're a basket case.
Exactly. And nobody wants that. So let's kind of go to the tipping point for you. Was there a clear moment where you finally realized, as you had kind of changed professions and you really started diving down this road of real estate, where you realized that your ability to succeed and actually achieve your goals and your dreams of, reaching the level that you are right now, where you actually realized that was possible, to the point the self-doubt and the fears and those things took more or less kind of a back seat to everything, and you said, nope, you know what, I'm going to continue pressing forward because I actually know that I can do this now. Was there a specific moment in time where you kind of had that epiphany moment?
Yeah, I think one of the things is that I love, it's a quote, and I'm not sure who says it, but it's about your habits. And one of them is, successful people are simply those with successful habits. That's one. Another one is by John Maxwell. It says, you'll never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret of your success is found in your daily routine. That is really the secret. You have to get to a routine where you go, I wake up every single morning at 6 a.m. and go to the gym. It's just part of my routine. I do it every day. I wake up every morning and spend time with God. It's part of my routine. I spend every time reading leadership books and pouring in podcasts every single day. So it's creating those routines that you're not like, oh, did I do that? It's every day. It's part of who you are. You automatically are doing it.
Was that a sudden thing that you just decided to do, or was it a gradual process for you of kind of slowly but surely, whether it was you were waking up later and then there came a point where you said, I'm going to start waking up at 6, and then you said, I'm going to start going to the gym. Was that a gradual process of where you started integrating in those key aspects to help you grow?
Yeah, I think I'm constantly adding different things and adding different tools to grow, but I think now I've kind of gotten it down to
Yeah, I'd say you're doing pretty good.
I can't add much more in my day, at this
I
point.
need to see that. Yes, you are a busy lady. So let's switch gears again, and let's switch into what I like to call the Ask an Expert section. So in today's segment of Ask an Expert, I'd love to zoom into a few key factors that have led to your success. So for our listeners just starting out, one of the biggest challenges that they face is actually just getting clients. So this is especially true when you're just starting out and haven't built up a name for yourself, which I'm sure is
And I have a solution.
and that's what we want to hear. So can you share with us when you were starting out, how you actually started acquiring?
Well, what I'd like to do, because I don't want to do it when I was starting out, because things are different now. I've been in the business, I think it's now 11 years that I've been in business. And so things have changed. And so I want to talk to someone who is right now of what I would do if I was starting over.
Absolutely.
And one of the things, the statistics that I just recently heard is that from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., 50 million people are watching all of the different networks like ABC, NBC, all those from 6 to 10. And in the Super Bowl, it reaches approximately 50 million people, okay? But on Facebook, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., 100 million people are logging into Facebook from 6 to 10 p.m.
Wow.
And so that is one of the things where I do a seminar called Capturing and Converting Today's Internet Distracted Customer. Because here's the thing. They are distracted on Facebook, right? Because they're wanting to look at puppies and
Sure.
dogs and da-da-da. But you've got to figure out a way when they're looking at puppies, babies, dogs, cats, family members,
pattern
all that.
interruption.
You need to interrupt that and go, how can I do it? And so, there's 3 ways to sell, right? The first way is, and I used to do it this way. You used to be like, oh, we tell everyone how great we are. Oh, we're #1 team in Hampton Roads. We're this, we're that. Yeah. And we just, you shout from the rooftops. And that is one way to do it, but it is not the most effective way to do it. And it's
Right.
not something I recommend. And I did do it when I first started, but hey, I'm getting older. I'm getting better.
You're
I'm
learning.
getting wiser. Now, the second way to do it is you can get someone else to say that you're great, right? So you can get customers to say, oh, well, we love you. And then I used to do this too, right? Oh, well, we love Chantel Ray Real Estate. It's fantastic. And we had such a great experience and yada, yada, yada. And they sold our home in 4 days. And we still do some of that. And that's great. And that's fine, right? But the third way is just to demonstrate your greatness. And one of the ways to do that is to pour back in to the people with knowledge and information that they need. And so I have something called the laws of differentiation, which differentiates you from the average Joe. And so number 1 is the law of fair exchange. And what that means is that we put deposits and we provide value to people before doing business with them. And then we feel more comfortable asking them for something in return. So for example, that's like the fair exchange where I say, hey, I am going to just give you the top things that you can do to sell your home. You don't owe me anything. I'm going to give you a market update. I'm going to give you all this free information.
Yes.
But you don't have to give me anything back in return. But because you have done it, people just generally do. They're like, oh man, that was so nice. They gave me this. They gave me a free market analysis. They did this for me. They came in and did free staging. There's so many things we do for people that are completely free. And then it's kind of that concept of fair exchange. And then in their mind, they're like, well, they did all that for me. I should do business with them.
Exactly.
Right? The second one is just the law of reciprocity. And that's when we do things for people and they kind of feel obligated and they want to reciprocate. It's basically the importance in just our business helping people before we actually help them, in the sense that we go, hey, we're doing this for you. And then you are in turn doing something for me. Now, let me give you an example. So one of the things we do is we do business to business highlights where we highlight businesses. We call them, you can go to chantelray.com/business highlights. And there's tons of different ones on there. And you can go take a look at them where we just take businesses and we highlight them. Then we spend our own money boosting it on Facebook so that they can get more business. We don't ask for anything in return. So we just did a business highlight on a young lady that did something with lashes. Okay. So she sent us an email and said, thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate it. And we just said, absolutely. We boosted on Facebook for you. You had, 8,000 views or something like that. She was thrilled. And we just said, and if you know anyone that's looking to buy or sell at any time, we'd love to help you. That's it. I mean, we don't expect anything else in return. If you know someone, send them our way. If not, no big deal. We just want to pour back into you and help you.
I think that's awesome.
Right? And
that's so
we're
rare.
pouring back in. We're helping your business grow. And in return, she sent us an email, a couple days later and said, hey, I just wanted you to know my sister is wanting to sell her house. I referred her to you and she's listing her house with you this week. Fantastic. You know what I mean? But we never expected it. We didn't. We just said, hey, if they want to, great. But that's the law of reciprocation. But she was so grateful to us that she got all these clients from Facebook that we boosted. We did a professional video for her and she was so thrilled. She sent us a client as a friend.
I love it.
So the next one is just the law of consistency. And really what that is people want to work people who are consistent. I mean, we just are very consistent. We have had the same, 5 things that we say, hey, it's not like we say, we have a live agent from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Next week, we have a live agent from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. The following week, never mind. We only have an agent from, you see what I mean?
Your
We're just
branding
consistent.
is consistent too.
Everything is consistent. We do the same, this is the message. This is what we do. This is how we're different. And we come up with different creative ways to do different things. But the message and the differentiation of why people should use us is the same. And we consistently put processes in place to wow the customer, because that's really the bottom line. Like I read 100% of the surveys, but 99.9% of the surveys are all 5s down the road. I mean, 5 star, 5 star, 5 star, 5 star, 5 star.
I've seen it.
People saying, if I could give you 12 stars, I would. And so those are the kind of things, because on our wall, as you can see, we literally say, how can we wow the customer? It's not just about doing a good job, okay job, not even a great job. It's that by the time they leave, they're like, wow, they did everything they possibly could to make things, smooth and easy for me.
I love it. Well, you're creating like this culture, and you're creating this tribe of raving fans essentially because of the value that you're adding to them. And I think everything you said is so crucial. In the marketing business that I own, I find, especially in some of the local areas where people have still more of a print or traditional mindset, right? And they're still trying to get into the digital mindset of thinking, where when we talk about the value proposition, really exactly the same thing you just talked about, where you're giving away value and not with any kind of expectations of getting anything back, but you want to help people. A lot of times I see where people don't get that. Right? They're like, well, what am I getting for it?
But no, here, let me say this, and I want you to say it again so that everyone can hear it. Everyone wants to buy. No one wants to be sold.
Right.
Everyone wants to buy, but no one wants to be sold. And so you have to figure out a way to make deposits into people to where they just want to do business with you. Is really the key. Is what can I do to make those deposits into them?
I see so many, I don't know, do you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is?
Uh-huh.
So he's one of my favorite entrepreneurs. He's obviously a little brash sometimes, but one of the things that I really like about him is he talks about is he like guilts people into buying his books and his products because he gives away so much value. And it goes to the law of reciprocity that you were talking about a second ago. It's when you stop focusing in on, I can only give you but so much because I need to get back. But when you start giving away things to people just because you genuinely care, care, it's amazing what you start seeing in return, just like you talked about with how you highlight businesses and the girl that you helped out and how, you did that with no expectations.
Well,
but
I'll give you another example. One of the things that we do is we allow people to use our facilities, any of our locations at any time. So we have the people at Chick-fil-A right up the street, Chick-fil-A at Hilltop. I had seen them and I had met the owners and we were talking and I said, so let me ask you this, what can I do to help your business? And they said, well, they said, I said, what is one of your biggest issues? They said, well, one of our big issues is that I feel like every time we have a meeting here, we just get completely swamped with employees. Like we can't have a meeting because like somebody will come up and be like, where's the ketchup? We're out of ketchup. Or where, you know what I mean? Just silly stuff.
I need some Chick-fil-A sauce.
Yeah, they need something. And they're like, it's just so frustrating. I said, well, I have a great idea. I have a conference room that sits, can seat 30 to 40 people here. It's right down the street. Why don't you bring your managers here? You can use my dry erase board. We've got, 100-inch screen TVs that we have. We've got the highest technology. Come use it for free anytime you want. Once a week, they come here and do a manager's meeting every week. They are now selling their house and buying another house with us. They wouldn't dream of buying with anybody else or selling with anyone else. Because why? Because we have poured into them. Like we let them use our facilities for free anytime they want. They always bring us Chick-fil-A and nuggets and everything else.
That's a pretty good exchange.
They always pour back into us too. But core value number one here in our company is win-win. And it's like, figure out how to make every relationship you have win-win. You're bringing something to the table and they're bringing something to the table.
That's one of the things I really love. And obviously this is our first time meeting one another, but from what I see outsider's perspective, that's one of the things I love about you and your company, which is also astonishing with some other similar companies within the same market, right? You would think real estate and service industry based businesses are relationship based, or at least that's the way they come off. Yet I find very few companies that have a mentality and the capacity to do what you're doing, which is really focusing in on the relationships and knowing that everything else will come, right? Rather than just selling, yes, you have an incredible service, you have an incredible product that you offer to people. At the end of the day, they can still go somewhere else and get their household, but really what people are buying when they come to Chantel Ray Real Estate is the relationship aspect, which is not something you're going to get somewhere else.
Well, and it's also the systems, because we've developed systems so that every single time someone sells their house, it goes through, I think it's like now 120 checklists that kind of goes through, did we do this? Did we do this? Did we do this? And it goes, changes hands. Did this person make sure it's on all these sites? Did this person make sure, the virtual tour was done? Did this person do the video? Did this person, you know what I mean? It kind of changes hands, and it's just a checklist. I mean, I think there's a book called The Checklist Manifesto, and I don't even think I've ever read the book, but I read the back of the book,
right,
and I got the whole gist of it. And the whole point was, look, in order for you to create a business that's really, really fantastic, you have to create a system. Like, at McDonald's, every time they make the burger, they put 2 pickles on. If you consistently put 3 pickles on instead of 2, you'd get fired, because that's not part of the system,
right.
And so it's like, you've got to get yourself so dialed in that you've got a system and a checklist that it makes it so easy, so that if Susie left, it doesn't matter. One of the things that was like the biggest aha for me is one day I was in this craze of coffee, like drinking these skinny lattes. And I don't even drink coffee anymore. But at one point,
oh God, how do you get through your day?
I do drink unsweetened iced tea, and I have like 1 or 2 green teas a day. That's it. But I don't drink coffee. But I did for a little while. And when I did, I would go to this Starbucks, and every single time I had this very special order. Like I was like, I wanted this cream and not this. I'm very high maintenance. So I was like, not this. So I was like, is Susie here? Because she knows my order. And then a couple days later, they're like, oh, no, Susie doesn't work here anymore.
You're like,
and
no, where is she?
Yeah. And so I was like, well, let me build this relationship with Bobby, and he knows my drink. And 3 days later, Bobby wasn't there anymore. And I quickly realized at this Starbucks, they literally went through 10 people in like 2 weeks' time. But my latte stayed the same every single time. That's what you have to do, is you have to go, it doesn't matter who is working at your company. If they are here or if they're not, the process and the quality stays the same no matter what. So sometimes people are like, well, give me your best agent. And I go,
all of them.
Yeah, it's kind of like at Starbucks when I say, well, give me your best person who makes that coffee. And it goes, you don't need my best guy. Like, the process is what it is. She's going to do it just as great as this guy's going to do it, because of the training and the systems and the processes that we have.
So starting off, how did you start implementing and building and scaling that to where, because like you said, you have, what'd you say, 120 point checklist or something like that?
Something
crazy?
like that, yeah.
So obviously you didn't start off with that. What was the mindset when you first started, or when you first started, did you start off and you were already,
I did really start at the very beginning. I did just start creating a checklist, and it just expanded and expanded into more quality control and more quality control. But I probably started off with a checklist of 15 things, and then it went to 20, but you got to start somewhere, and you got to create that checklist, and you've got to get that checklist down where you know it like the back of your hand. Then you just keep bringing people on and training them so that they can do it even better than you.
I love it. So now that we've talked a little bit about getting clients and we've talked a little bit about systems, let's dive into the last part of this segment, which is marketing. So one of my favorite things about your business and your company is you guys have incredible marketing, which, I mean, like I said, just walking into this building, it doesn't look like any place else around here in Virginia Beach. It looks like we should be in New York or something like that. I love it. So from a marketing standpoint, how did you get to where you are right now? Like, where did that start? Was marketing something that was always in the forefront of your mind? Because I promised myself that I was going to sing this on the podcast, which is the thing I have always burned in my mind when I think about you is the jingle. If you need to sell, call Chantel, ChantelRay.com. Like,
Good
that's
job.
burned. Yeah,
that's great.
That's like burned into my mind forever, which is an amazing marketing tactic. So
thank you.
Is that something you start off with, or you
it's funny
developed over
because there
time?
was a rumor going around about me that I have my master's degree from Harvard, and that's why I'm so good at marketing. And the truth of the matter is, I've never taken a marketing course in my life, and I've probably listened to maybe 3 podcasts on marketing.
Wow.
And it's just not something I spend any time listening to or growing in. And the reason is because all I do is I look around at what I see that somebody else is, like different people have done. Like, I don't pick anyone from my own field because I just think that's cheesy just to sit there and copy somebody in your own field. But I copy from other fields. So like, for example, the flooring company that I told you about, right? So then I just took that and applied it to my company, with the, if you don't love it, we'll sell it for free kind of thing. But what I do for marketing is just figure out, if I was the person, what would make me do whatever it is. And then I just watch different commercials and ads, and I just look at I don't look at my own industry, because then you all just start looking the same and acting the same, and then it just gets like.
Well, to be fair, the real estate industry in whole, at least from what I've seen, I think is pretty far behind where you're at in terms of whether it's branding or a marketing standpoint, or just the vision that you have of how you're using marketing to actually propel you forward and grow your business. I don't really see, at least in the surrounding market, a lot of people doing that. So I really kind of picture you as a visionary, where whatever industries that you're, picking or gleaning knowledge from, or picking little things here or there, I mean, you're crushing it with that, with what you're doing right now. So,
well, thank you. The things that they say is that you want to try to use, they say the 3 T's. And the first one, I'll spell it, but it's TITS. And then, and the second one is tots. And the third one is terriers. And so it's kind of like, pretty women, kids, and dogs sell. Right. And so if you notice in a lot of our stuff, I try not to be in our videos, but I do try to get some, pretty girls to be in our video. And I don't do anyone that's half dressed or anything, but,
No, you're
I
very
try
classy.
to get, classy people on there and people who are attractive. And I get, my son, who I think is super cute, and I get him to do fun stuff, or, we get dogs to do things. But the thing that I think has really kind of taken us to the next level with our marketing is just really trying to figure out what kind of content would, number one, shows people how we're different. That's number one. And number two, what kind of content can we do that can be that free content? Like, download this free report.
Like cheat sheets. And,
yes.
Yeah.
Download this free report to find out the top 10 selling tips. We have a video that says, here's top 10 things that you can do that'll help sell your home faster and for top dollar. Here's what's going on in the market. Everyone wants to know what's going on in the market. So we give a free market update of all the stats, what's sold, what hasn't sold. Is Virginia Beach up? Is Norfolk down? What's going on with that? So we're just trying to constantly go, how can we pour back into people's lives in general? And it's really the whole idea of, it's the biblical principle of sowing and reaping. I tell this to people all the time. You cannot plant grapes and get watermelons. You can't do it.
You can't do that? Really? That's crazy.
And so you just keep, what I do is, again, back to that, you just keep giving as much as you can back. And, you can't outgive God. You just keep on doing it, and he will reward you for just having that principle of, just as much as I can, I'm going to give back to people.
I love it. Well, Chantel, I know that we're nearing the end of our time today. So let's finish up our awesome convo by diving into what I like to call the final 5 thoughts of the day. So these are essentially 5 rapid fire questions that you can sum up in just a couple of sentences. So are you ready to bring the heat for Lime Nation today?
Sure.
All right, let's do it. So number 1, what does good leadership mean to you? And in your eyes, what does it look like?
So one of the things that has really taken me to the next level is we have made people in our company, our agents, our admin, our staff, we make them give us commitments that they're going to do. And then we hold them accountable for the commitments that they make. And so, for example, let's say we have an agent, and we say to them, okay, what is it that you want to commit to do? And then we call it SAM. A lot of times people say make SMART goals, but we just make it SAM, which is very easy. It's specific, actionable, and measurable. That's it. I need specific, actionable, and measurable goals. And so someone says, I want to sell 2 houses every month, for the next year. And I'm going to do it by doing A, B, C, D, and E. It's very specific, actionable, and measurable, so that we can see at the end of the month, did you achieve that goal or didn't you? So then we say to people, okay, did you achieve that goal? And then we have this conversation, and they say, no, my dog was sick, and then I had to.
Excuses.
Yeah, then they just get the list of excuses. Then my kid got sick, and then I got the flu, and then I had to fly to California, and all these things. And so then we go, okay, well, let's go ahead, and I want you to go ahead and make some more commitments of what you are going to do. I'm not making these goals for you.
Right.
You're making them. And then we hold people to that. And then, for us, if you're not consistently meeting the goals you set for yourself,
accountability.
Yeah. Then we go, this may not be the place for you, because we're here to help you achieve your goals, And so you have to do it in a way that doesn't make people afraid, because they don't want to. So like if I said to you, let's say you came to me and said, yeah, I'm going to sell 2 homes. And then you came up with the laundry list of excuses. And you said, well, I'm not going to do that. Or I didn't do it. I don't want to lose my job. And now you're all afraid. Well, I say there's 3 F's that happens. If you felt threatened, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose my job, right? It's 1 F is fight. 1 F is flight, and 1 is freeze. So the first one is flight, where people just go, forget it. I'm not going to be able to reach my goals. I'm out of here. Right. I said I was going to do this. And so sometimes that's good, right? That they just leave on their own because they're like, man, I can't come into another meeting. Because what we'll say to people after like 3 months where they're not hitting their goals, and they're not even trying, then we'll say to them, can we agree that if by next month you're not hitting your goals, that this may not be the place for you. And then they're leaving. Instead of us having to fire them, they're leaving, right? The second one that you want to make sure that they don't do is freeze, right? Because sometimes people, when they're afraid of losing their job.
It's like deer in headlights.
Yeah, they don't do anything. They just like stand there and they're like, oh my God, and they don't do anything.
Just let the train hit me.
So you want it to be positive. So we try to be really positive. Like, what are you going to do to achieve your goals? Let's do, rah, cheerleader, doing all that.
Encouragement.
Yeah, encouragement. And the third one is what we want. We want them to fight for it. Like, fight for getting you the goals and the commitments that you said you were going to do. And hey, we're here every step of the way to help you achieve that goal.
I love it. So number 2, who are your favorite people to follow online and why?
Okay. I would say my favorite people are, one guy is named Andy Stanley, and he does a leadership podcast that's really, really good.
Do you know the name of it?
It's called the Andy Stanley Leadership Podcast, actually. Yeah. And they're all the people that I follow, honestly, are pastors of churches. But they're churches that have like 30,000 members plus, that's a big thing for me, because you don't want to follow someone who is, got a smaller organization than you. You want someone that's, a bigger church than you. There's another one that's called Craig Rochelle Leadership. He's the pastor of Life Church, and he does a leadership podcast.
That's around here, isn't it?
No, I think it's up north, but I can't remember where. But it's called Life Church, Craig Rochelle, and he's really, really good. And then another one is Rick Warren he wrote The Purpose Driven Life,
I love Rick
and
Warren.
He's really, really good. So I'd say those 3. I listen to Rick Warren every single day. That guy, I could probably preach his sermons for him at this
That's
point.
awesome.
Because I listen to them so much. Lon Solomon is another guy from McLean Bible Church right up here. I listen to him a lot. I could preach his sermons as well because I listen to them so much. They're probably my top 3, top 4.
So what tools, either online and this is number 3, what tools either online or offline do you use to help you continually learn and grow both in your personal and your business life?
So as far as tools, do you mean like websites, or do you mean like podcast, or?
It could be anything. It could be podcast, it could be lynda.com for training for something. It could be another website or a tool, Asana. It could be Evernote, whatever you use on a day-to-day basis to help you. Like you talked about earlier, every day I want to be better than I was yesterday. Yeah. What are the tools that you use?
Well, I'll tell you one thing we used, and now we've gotten to the point that we're too big that we can't really use it anymore because you can't have more than 100 users on it. But for a small business, it's called uberconference.com. And it's so nice because it's so cheap. I think it's like $10 a month. But it's kind of one of those things where you can do conference calls with your people. And one of the things we do once a month is called an 8-minute call, where we just get kind of dialed in on some important stuff. And then the Uber conference calls you instead of like, how you say, oh, please call me at 1-800 blah, blah, blah,
like
blah, blah.
Go-to meeting.
The go-to meeting. And then you've got a code you have to remember and all that. Uber conference, they can either call in and it's a local number. Like my Uber conference is 296-2585. But you can put their number in. And let's say you wanted an 8-minute call every Monday. It will call them. So they don't have to
awesome.
know the PIN, know the code.
If they forget, they're going to get a surprise.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, you called. So I love that program. But again, the one thing I will say about that is one of the things I've learned is I wouldn't have used that program if I knew when I first got it that only 100 people can be on the call at one time. Because now, we're, close to really 150 people now. So we can't really use that anymore unless I say just agents or just this. So what do you guys use now? I can't remember the name of it. I think we just use that go-to meeting now. Yeah. But it's not our favorite. That was our favorite once when we could kind of use it. Like that Uber conference one, I can still use it when I say agents only, like, or like Newport News agents or like Virginia Beach agents, or
you can segment your different people.
People and still be able to use it. Exactly. A lot of them are really real estate specific kind of things of tools that we use.
What do you use for your sales funnels or your landing pages? What do you use for that?
So ChantelRay.com is built by us. It's a WordPress site. We have someone that kind of manages that and does all of that in-house.
Do you guys use anything for your actual sales funnels? Like we were talking about earlier, like
Salesforce.
Gotcha. Okay.
We use Salesforce, and I will be honest,
That's a beast.
Oh my gosh. I'll be honest, I don't know that I would do it again if I had to do it. We've spent over $350,000. It's probably more than that now. I can't even tell you how much money we've spent on this. It's ridiculous, of customizing it to be able to use it for what we need to use it for. And it's been a nightmare, to be honest. We hate Salesforce.
I've seen other people try to do a similar thing, or been a part of an organization who tried to do something and it didn't work out. And in my opinion, unless there's something that's crazy that you need it for, most of the time you can use various services that are specific to whatever functionality you're
and we
using.
couldn't, because we do things so different than every other real estate company, we had to develop our own platform for the way we do things. And so it's just part of our, we just say it's part of our secret sauce.
That's awesome. So last but not least, what strategies, tactics, or changes have you implemented in your own life that have helped contribute to and accelerate your own business and professional growth?
I would say one of the things that we've really dialed in on is looking at the numbers. I mean, like, I have my degree in math, so I am a math major, but I also am a high I, and I like to have a lot of fun. So like just sitting there, like going through the P&L and looking line by line of like, how much did this bring back? How much did we spend on this? How many leads did we get? How much was the return? I mean, it's just like so, boring, but I've just really dialed that portion in and just had to kind of get someone to really do it with me, and we kind of make it fun. But you got to know your numbers. It's really, really important, because a lot of people, they'll just spend money on stuff and then they go, oh, well, we got 20 leads from it. And then it goes, but did we make any sales?
Were they qualified leads?
Yeah.
Like, that's different.
Yes. And so knowing your numbers and getting a system for your business to really dial in and read those numbers is absolutely crucial. And I wish I've done it for a long time, but I haven't dived in as deep as I have now, and I'm really glad that I have.
As they say, if you can't measure it, you can't grow it.
Yes.
So, well, Miss Chantel Ray, you have been a lovely guest today.
Thank you.
You're such a warm, inviting, incredible person, much less the incredible leader that you are here at this awesome company. I love how you're changing the industry around here, and you're really setting the standards high for what it means to really serve people, to give back, and to help people, and in return how that helps you grow your business. So I appreciate you for being on the show today.
Thank you.
I know you've added so much knowledge and information to the lives of Lime Nation, and we really appreciate you.
Thank
you. We'd love to know, how can we connect with you?
Probably Facebook. Facebook is a big way. We'd love for you to like our page, and
absolutely.
Social media is a big thing for us. We've really spent a lot of time and energy building that platform up. So we'd love to connect with people on social media. LinkedIn, people can connect with me on LinkedIn, and Facebook's probably the easiest way.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll add that to the show notes. And Miss Chantel Ray, thank you again for being such an incredible guest, and we'll catch you next time.
Okay. Thanks.